What is ethnography? Data collection, data analysis, writing the report, and limitations. So what is ethnography? Ethnography is a qualitative research design that studies a distinct culture within society. Specifically, an ethnography studies the characteristics typically associated with a culture, such as values, beliefs, behaviors, and the way that a distinct group uses their language within that society. Usually this group of people has been together over an extended period of time, allowing members of that distinct group to have very similar beliefs, attitude, behaviors, language, the things that make up their culture. Ethnographic research originates from the academic disciplines of anthropology and sociology. The research questions related to ethnography usually sound something like, what is the culture of blank, whatever the people group you're studying, or what is it like to be blank, a member of this certain distinct group that you're studying. Let's talk about data collection. First step is determine if ethnography is the right research design to answer your research question. If so, the next step is to find the distinct cultural group within society that you want to study. Next is to gain entry to that group through a gatekeeper. Just as a reminder, a gatekeeper is a group leader who has the authority to let you into the group to do your study. 4. After gaining permission to study the group in an ethnography, researchers immerse themselves in the everyday lives of the group for extended periods of time in the group's natural settings or in the field to understand the group's culture. Data usually comes in the form of extensive observations and field notes, and also from in-depth interviews. Although other data may also include artifacts or newspapers, journals of the group people, etc., that help the researcher understand the group's culture. Usually, ethnography study 20 or more people of the group that they're interested in. Let's talk about data analysis. When analyzing ethnographic data, researchers immerse themselves in the field notes, in their interview transcripts, and so on to discover major themes that describe the group's culture. We'll cover qualitative analysis in further detail later in the semester. Let's talk about the final report. The researcher writes about their experience with thick, rich descriptions so that the readers can, in a way, experience that group's culture without having actually been a member of that group. The report is also usually written in a narrative, story-like fashion. Let's talk about the limitations of ethnographies. Ethnographies require a lot of time in the field to understand a group's culture, so researchers spend a lot of time in those natural settings in the field observing the group where they are. Also, the final report is usually written in a narrative story-like fashion, which may be hard for some authors to write if they're not used to writing in that type of style. The researcher may spend so much time in the field observing and participating in the group that the researcher may go native in a way, which is a term to mean that they compromise their duties as a researcher and that they become a part of that group. They actually become a full member of the group and they lose their identity as being a researcher, their duties as a researcher. The researcher's presence and possible lack of ethical consideration also may negatively impact the very culture that the researcher is studying. In conclusion, ethnography is qualitative research of a distinct group's culture and society. After gaining access inside a group, data collection primarily takes the form of observations and in-depth interviews. Analysis involves discovering major themes that describe the group's culture. The report is written in a narrative form with thick, rich description of the culture, and limitations of ethnographic research include time writing the report, the possibility of going native, and a researcher's negative impact on that group.